Welcome to another parent-teacher video lesson from the earlygiftedmanual.com, a free website for homeschooled children 3 to 7 years old and their parents that promotes and develops giftedness at an early age. I am Gary Blank, the creator of that site, and your host and facilitator for this video and all of the videos in my educational program. As the video lessons are designed to work in conjunction with the program on my website, I ask you to, at some point, click on the URL link in the description box below, and this action will take you to the earlygiftedmanual.com. By doing that, you will be able to put this lesson and all of the video lessons here on my channel in the proper context of the total program that I am presenting to you and your child. And now let's look at some ways that we can, that you can teach your child how to throw the ball. Some good techniques, a good way to get your child into that activity. And we will start out using the larger 6-inch ball like we did when we were catching. And we're going to start out with some what I call two-handed throws. And basically there are 3 of them. And the first one you might see when your child begins to throw a larger ball like this, he or she will inevitably do something like this. They will pick it up over their head and throw it like that. However, as you could probably guess, it's very hard to control a throw like that. Not just aiming it, but when to release. So that's really, not a good thing to work on. We will kind of leave that behind. And I would like you to encourage your child to learn these 2 throws. And the first one is what I simply call an underhand throw. So once again, show your child, get him or her down in the crouch, and you can model this, of course, so they can see what it looks like. So you bend your knees, bring the ball back, and release and spring your knees up straight. Let's look at that again. And now that is a throw that is very easy for a child to control, and that's what we're looking at right now. We want your child to have success at throwing the ball to somebody or at a target. One more time, JD. That's the underhanded throw. And another pretty reliable throw for a young, perhaps 4-year-old, 3, 4, or 5-year-old child is what we call a chest throw. And you see this a lot in basketball. When older kids are playing basketball, they'll use it with a bigger ball. And it's simply like this. Once again, in the crouch. And your child, first you'll show your child this, but your child will push off from the chest like this. So they're in a crouch, they kind of wind up, and as they throw, they kind of bring their legs up and rock their knees. So that's called a chest throw. So those are 2 great throws that you can show your child once they're just beginning to learn how to throw the ball. And they'll feel very secure with this larger ball, and as I said earlier, a ball that can't hurt them. And let's talk about some one-handed throws now. And in order for me to do that, I'm going to put this ball away because this ball is just too big for a young child to grab. I'm going to get these 2 balls over here. So you might want to use balls this size. And these are actually the same, as you know, we talked at the beginning of the lesson about these balls. They're the same as the 6-inch ball, just smaller. And of course they all come in different colors. And it depends on how big your child's hand is, which ball you choose. I'm going to take and work with this one now, the yellow one. I'm going to put this one on the side. And let's see. Let's start with, we're going to look at, once again, at 3 different throws. And the first one is a one-handed underhand throw. And it looks like this. And now, for your child, we want to simplify it a little bit. So, what I'm going to ask you to show your child is this. Instead of winding up and stepping at the same time, because really, this step is what makes the throw. A child who perhaps hasn't discovered this or hasn't had any instruction yet, they will generally throw the ball like this. And of course, you and I know that a good throwing motion consists of stepping into the throw. So, you want to set your child up like this, already with the arm cocked, so he or she doesn't have to think about two things at once, because as I've told you so many times in this program, you have to isolate concepts. So have him or her get the arm cocked, show them how to step with the opposite foot, and swing their arm out and throw the ball. One more time. Arm is cocked, step, follow through, throw the ball. And beware, don't try to, like I just said, don't try to teach your child 5 things at once. If your child can just do this, hold the ball out, step and throw, that's a great start. And what I've learned in my experience with the young kids is they'll fill in the other things, like the follow through. And once they get comfortable doing that, they'll be able to cock their arm as they're stepping into the throw. So that's the underhand throw. Another throw that's just like that I call the bowling throw, because your child will inevitably play in lots of games where they're rolling a ball across the floor or outside across the grass. And the bowling throw looks like this. It's really the same as the underhand throw, except you're getting, your child will be getting more into a crouch, so you can kind of model this for them. So, like the underhand throw, you're going to cock the arm, except now, instead of releasing it up here, it's going to be released down here on a roll. And once again, my experience tells me that a lot of kids, they just aren't comfortable with crouching like that, so they like to bounce the ball like that. They don't want to come all the way down to the ground. That's not really a bowling throw, so you'll have to perhaps work with your child for a little bit to get them to come down really low. There's the arm is cocked, and look how low that is. And then they release the ball right just above the level of the floor. So that's 2 one-handed throws, an underhand throw and what I call a bowling throw. And the last one we'll look at here is the overhand throw. And probably what your child may be doing before you start this, and this is classic, a child will stand at you, square up with you, take the arm kind of like this, and it might look something like that. Let me show you one more time. With their knees locked, just throw it like that. So what you want to do is you want to show your child that there's a better way to make this overhand throw. And for starters, and this is very difficult for a child to understand, is that to throw forward, they have to stand sideways, or at least almost sideways, maybe a little bit to the front. So once again, we're going to use this technique where the arm is already cocked, except now instead of down here, it's up in an overhand position, extended, maybe a little bend in the elbow here, and same as the throws we've just done. Step and throw. Let's try it again, JD. All right. Child is standing sideways. Have him or her cock the arm. Make sure they have a little spring in their legs there, that their knees aren't locked up straight like this. Step, throw. All right. And like I said previously about the underhand throws, in no time at all, your child will figure out that as he or she is stepping forward, they can cock their arm while they're doing that. They don't have to cock it ahead of time. They'll figure that out on their own. You hardly have to teach that. So it'll end up looking something like this. And they'll figure out the whole thing about following through also. If they don't, you can give them a little reminder, but I know this sounds like a broken record. Do not introduce too many things at once. If you can get your child, for starters, to stand sideways, cock the arm, step and throw, that's a great start. Don't try to teach 5 or 3 other things along with it, because I guarantee your child will get a very sad look on his or her face and will want to be anywhere but playing catch with you. So that's throwing a ball, and the next thing we'll look at is kicking a ball. So finally, let's take a look at some techniques you can show your child that will enable him or her to be able to kick the ball. Let's start out, once again, we're back to the bigger ball now. Maybe I'll call it a pseudo soccer ball or something, but this is a great ball for your young child to kick around. It's a multi-purpose ball. I'm going to put it right down here on the floor. And really, there's 2 ways your child can kick the ball. They can kick it off the floor, or they can do what we call punting. First, I'm going to show you kicking off the floor, and invariably, once again, since your child maybe has never done this before, her approach might be to stand here like this, swing her leg, and kick it like that. But of course, as we know, there's a better way. And just like throwing the ball, when you're kicking the ball, you want to step into it also. And once again, you will model the activity, and your child will watch you, and then it'll be his or her turn. Let's keep it simple, not too many things at once. Basically, it's as simple as this. Have your child take 1 step, and as you can see, my foot is not even with the ball. It's maybe a little bit behind it and off to one side, my left. And that automatically gets their leg ready to kick, because it's kind of in what we would call a cocked position. So all your child has to do once they make the step is follow through with the kicking leg. Let's try that again. If my ball doesn't roll away. All right. Your child steps just behind the ball and to the side, and then just follows through with the other leg. And I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to be quiet, and you can just watch the motion. All right, child's in a little bit of a crouch. Very simple. Much more effective than your child standing there and trying to balance on one leg like this and attempt to kick the ball. And often what I've seen on playgrounds is the child will either miss or will catch their foot on the top and fall, which you definitely don't want to happen. So teach them this wonderful technique for kicking. Step, kick, simple as that. All right, and finally, let's look at what they call in football, punting the ball. I guess football and soccer, both of those sports, there's punting, some punting involved. And basically with punting, your child will now be kicking the ball as it is suspended in the air, and it will look something like this. And I think before I start, I must tell you that this is, I would have to say, sort of on the advanced level of things. Your child may not be able to do this, and as you know, as I always say, if they can't, don't push it, wait until he or she is ready. But if they are, if they're very athletic, you can teach them to punt the ball. And lots of kids will start punting the ball like this. They throw it up and they try to kick it. I got it, Mr. JD, thank you. They'll try to kick it from a standing position. They'll throw it up and something like that. So you can, of course, show them a better way to do it. And a better way would look something like this. And once again, very similar type techniques that we've been looking, stepping into the kick. So your child with both hands will hold the ball. Will take a step which automatically, as I said before, cocks their leg, and you can show your child no reason to throw the ball way up in the air. All you have to do is drop it as your leg comes through. And it'll be like that. So let's try that again. And of course, you know, your child's first 100 attempts at this will probably not be pretty, but my experience tells me that practice, what is the saying, practice makes perfect, and the more your child does it, the better he or she will get at it. Let me show you one more. Holding the ball with two hands, a little bend in the knees, step, follow through with that leg. Hey, nice kick, huh, JD? So that's called punching the ball, and once again, I would consider it a little advanced, especially for a very young child, like maybe 3 or 4, 5 or 6, maybe they're a little more ready for this. So if your child is not, hold off until he or she is. And after reviewing this video, I realized there was one more point I wanted to make. It's not a huge one, but nevertheless, I wanted to add it on here at the end. When kicking the ball, whether it's on the floor or punting the ball, it's very important that your child keep his or her eye on the ball. What do I mean by that? I'll put the ball down right here. Let's say your child is kicking the ball off the ground or off the floor. It's very normal for a kid who's just learning how to do this. As you remember, you step in and they'll cock their leg like this. A lot of kids, and it just takes time, and it's kind of, goes along with what I said with catching the ball. They will want to look where the ball is going before they actually kick it. But as you and I know, for them to have any success with kicking the ball, even making contact with the ball, they have to be looking at the ball while they're kicking it. So you can kind of monitor that when your child is kicking the ball around, just to kind of give you an idea here. They're looking at the ball, they kick it, and I'm not going to kick it because my friend JD isn't here to chase the ball today, but they follow through, and when they follow through, after they've kicked the ball, then they can look up and see where the ball is going. So, you don't have to be a tyrant about this, but for your child to have success kicking the ball, they will have to look at the ball until they kick it and not bring their head up until after they've kicked the ball. And of course that goes for punting also. Your child is holding the ball, looking at the ball, step, gets ready to kick, ready to drop the ball. Notice eyes are still on the ball, and brings the leg up, and after he or she kicks the ball, then they can look up to see where it's going. So very important point. Make sure you monitor that. Otherwise, your child will not have a lot of success kicking the ball. He or she must look right at the ball until it's left their foot.